How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we got the last of the Set 19 Fighter's Ambition spoilers, reveals, everything, including the last two secret rares as well, because we saw the last secret rare last week, I think it was, and now we got the other two this week, and they both look strong and stunning in art as well. And not only that, we also have all the TP promos. You also got the ban list update, which did confuse a lot of people as to when it's going to be implemented, because there's a bit of confusion with the EU finals. Because when we got the finals information, we had in the same post of Bandai confirming when it was and what's going on with it about the format. They confirmed in there that the list would not be legal, and then they dropped the list being legal, saying it's legal from the effective date that it was released, but not enforcing this weekend due to the short amount of time between it being dropped and events on the same weekend. But after that, it should be properly enforced and legal, and it was really confusing because the contradictory saying it's not going to be legal and then it is going to be legal from the post, the post completing themselves like Bandai like to do. And we got confirmation that it is going to be legal for UE finals. That does make it a little bit less oppressive in red, so it means that people that are not playing red have a bit more of a chance to play and not get just mollywopped by red decks. And it does hit red decks, but not really the red decks that are dominating every other red deck that wasn't even taking part in the meta, which is a sad thing. But we'll get to that. So we got this update, and we also, like always, have the update to this week's Webcam Locals results as well. So stay tuned right to the end for that. But without further ado, we're going to take a look at the rest of the reveals from this set, and there are some very nice cards in it. So, starting off with the last archetype we were waiting to be revealed, and they replaced it with something else. I can't remember what. Replaced it with a different reveal last week. We have the Gohan, blue Gohan deck. Now this is one that a lot of people are hyped for because it's Gohan. Like, Gohan hasn't been represented very well, and this looks like quite an interesting one because it's from the movie as well. And just by looking at it, it was just, as soon as it was revealed, it threw a lot of people off because it's permanent, which is on both sides, saying you can only place up to 3 energy, which means it's locked like SS3 reboot and the original SS3, that you can only have a certain amount of energy in your energy area, and in this case you can only have up to 3. And that being a blue leader, and a lot of people seeing this assumed straight away that it was trash, that it's bad because you can only have 3 energy, and didn't look further to see its actual potential. So a lot of people did the same thing like most people do with Baby Hatch and their reveals in the past. They just looked at it, judged it based on its color, like the color of the card, and didn't look past to see what other things it could do, and just assumed it was trash. But it is actually a very strong lead, and it's one of the few blue decks you can really be aggressive with, which is quite nice. And so it's got that permanent on both sides, where you can only place up to 3 energy, and then on the front side it's got an auto when it attacks to 1. But it's got a very nice awakening that's very easy to pull off to get the flip over, and you can easily do it as early as turn 2. And that is when your life is at 5 or less, or you have a blue Z-Battle card with entry cost of 2 or more and SH in its character name in play. You get to untap 2, take your life down to 5, and then flip over. So instantly you get down to 5, and 5 is a good spot because it allows you to be in range with token negates and stuff like that. And it's very easy to get out the Z-Battle card for it, because you've got one on screen now, and you've got also Goku one as well, which requires 2 Z energy to play. But at least gives itself barrier and deflect. And then when you flip to the new side, now you lose the ability to draw when you swing. That's now replaced with a different auto, where once per turn, if all your energy is mono blue, which it should be, when one of your blue battle cards is added to your Z energy, you switch up to one of your energy to active mode. So that allows you to get an extra untap of energy on both your opponents and your turn, just by Z charging, doing the mechanic it wants to do for some of its stuff, and to play things like your Z-Battle card to get awakened. This is really nice. It just means that just on your opponent's turn you can combo a card that's blue, that's mono blue, or that's just blue. It doesn't have to be mono blue for the charge, you just have to mono blue energy, and then get an energy untapped on your opponent's turn, which is fantastic. And it's either player's turn as well, so technically you're working with 4 energy. When you awaken, you're working with extra 2 energy, so turn 2 you can get 5 energy out of it, and then turn 3 onwards you can get a full 4 energy and 1 energy in your opponent's turn every time. And it also has another skill, which is activate main slash battle, which is once per turn, where you just draw cards until you have 3 cards in your hand. And that is great. That's really nice, especially when you're trying to push. You can go all in on attack and then draw brand new 3 cards to keep going, go even further on, or even defensively. You can try to combo your whole hand out combo like a deadly swing, and then draw back up the 3 cards. Or if you're hand controlled, you can get your card. You can get a full hand, well, a hand of 3 cards back. Now that's really nice, especially on an aggressive deck where you just want to keep comboing. It allows you to combo on all your different swings, to over combo to push, and then just get a few cards back. Like at least get 3 more cards back to keep aggressing with, and then your opponent's turn get 3 cards to defend yourself, so you can control quite a bit. And then for the battle card that comes with it, I know there's the Goku, but we covered that already, alongside the Gotenks one. Now with this one, you get another one as another option, being Vegeta, Stronger Together. This one is a 2 cost that requires 1 Z energy, 10k with Deflect. It's got 2 autos. If your leader has SH in its character name, when this card is played, if your opponent has 11 or more cards in their hand, they got a bottom net cards from put cards from their hand to the bottom of the deck in any order until they have 10 cards left in their hand. So if you're going against a deck and they somehow manage to draw a ton of cards in the turn before you awaken, or when you drop this, you get to reduce their hand down to 10. 10's still a lot though, but at least you're reducing it from whatever it used to be, like if it was 18 cards sometimes against SS4. That could be quite nice. And then you have the Ever Auto, which is limit 1, where you send 1 blue card from your hand to your warp. When this card attacks, you get to choose up to 1 mono blue battle card with 5k combo power from your drop in a combo with the skills to get for the turn, and at the end of your next turn, add the card you sent to the warp by the skill to your hand. So you get the kind of plus, but like a delayed plus with this. And what I like for this is that you get some cards that you can't use until later that are mono blue in blue decks, like Goku Calamity Challenger, which requires you to be 3 more energy, and the play out by is actually main for 1. And sometimes you have it early and not want to combo off elusive from your hand, so you can always warp that from your hand to then combo with something from your drop, which is mainly being the card that you Z-charge to bring this out. And then you get added back on your next turn, especially because you're tapping off for 2, normally it's at least turn 2, and then turn 3 you get that Goku, that's like your main phase, you get that Goku back ready to play. I think that's quite a nice thing, and at least take it up to 15k for more pressure. And this is normally probably going to be the one I put in this deck, because it's quite a nice C battle card to help trigger the Awaken. And then you go on to other cards in the deck. We've got the 1-drop, so we have Vegeta Daily Diligence, Goku Daily Diligence, and an S for Son Gohan. So Gohan, as you can see, is the 1-drop skillless card for the blue archetype. So almost every colour nowadays in any set gets 1 skillless card in each colour, just to add to the skillless pool for more options and more strategies. Before the Daily Diligences, they both are 1 cost 4Ks with an activate battle that they share, where by paying 1 blue, if your leader is a blue Gohan SH card, you can play this card from your hand. So you can do that, this is activate battle, you can do it Geneva player's turn. So if you leave that 1 energy open, your opponent attacks you, you can play out this Goku and then combo off, not before getting their autos though, because they have autos like most archetypes do, as I've said before, where 1 is a draw and 1 is a search. So Goku's a draw, just when it's played, draw a card. And Vegeta is a searcher, where when this card is played, look up to 7 cards for the top of your deck, add up to 1 blue battle card with SH in its character name and energy cost of 4 or less among them to your hand, they shuffle your deck. So Vegeta's that nice little searcher, and Goku that nice little just cantrip. And it's nice having these activate battles, because it means you can play during your opponent's turn, so you can, if you're afraid of your opponent just removing it by an effect before you get the combo off, you can do it mid-battle, play the 1 energy, play them out, get their effects off, then combo off to save them not being vulnerable in your opponent's turn before they swing. And those are just the 1-drops. Then we go into some of the combo to play cards, and the combo cards you're not be dropping with this. So we have Goku and Vegeta, both interplanetary training, and then Son Gohan, Power Unshackled. So these are really, really nice cards. So we'll start off with the Vegeta and Gohan, because they both have the similar kind of auto, where Vegeta's is auto limit 1 for 1 blue. They're both for 1 blue, and both are auto except Vegeta's limit 1. Gohan is not. And as if your leader is a blue Gohan SH card, and is normally if you're for Vegeta, if your leader is a blue Gohan SH card, and it's your turn. So Vegeta is only for during your turn, and Gohan's just if your leader has SH in its character name. They're both at the end of a battle where this guy was using the combo from your hand, play it from your drop. So Vegeta is only playable during your turn, but it's got a really nice extra auto, and Gohan is playable during either player's turn as long as you got a leader with SH in his character name, whereas Vegeta is just for this Gohan lead. And now they have two different separate extra effects. Now Vegeta is a really nice one. In when this card is played, choose one of two effects. Either your opponent places one card from hand at the bottom of your deck, or your opponent places one of their battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less at the bottom of their opponent's deck. So nice thing with this, if you swing at your opponent's life with Vegeta and you combo Vegeta and they take the life, they're really going to be in the same position they were before that attack, just one life less, because Vegeta's going to come down and make them bottom deck a card in hand. But if you ever need the removal of something 4 or less on the board, you can always use that effect as well, which is nice. And being a 15k, it's nice to just swing at either an unawakened or awakened lead. And Gohan, his extra effect is nice little floodgate as well to help survive a turn. So this is an activate main for limit 1. For 1 blue, place this card in its owner's drop. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one of their battle cards with entry cost of 2 or less and place them at the bottom of their deck each time. So similar to that units we had, that 5-drop Goku one, where if they want to attack for the turn but with battle cards, they need to bottom deck a 2 cost or less battle card each time from their board. And if they can't get those out, they can't attack, which is nice. So it's nice little floodgate and swings, and both are very strong cards. And then Goku is a super combo for blue, where if your leader is blue, and the same kind of ones we've had previously, where if your leader is blue and your leader is either a Z leader, you have 2 or more Z energy, or you have a Z battle card in play. When it's got using a combo, you draw 1 card, and unlike the rest, this is a 0 cost 5k. This is more to go with the archetype of doing a combo things at 5k or warp things at 5k and stuff like that. So it's got blue super combo got a bit of a nerf in the only being 5k, so 10k to work with the archetype, but still they got this kind of super combo ready to draw. And then we've got the Piccolo Pan Gohan combo, which is a really nice one for this deck as well. So you've got Piccolo the Infiltrator as the SR for the archetype, Pan Glimpse of Talent, the 1-drop that you can bring out of Piccolo, and allows you to go into your SS Son Gohan Wrath Awakening. So start with Piccolo, the one that initiates this little combo, and that is a 3-drop 20k. It has deflect and dual attack. You're not going to be paying 3 for it, because we'll see in a bit. It has a nice little auto where when it's played you choose either 1 or 2 effects. You either give this card Barrier until the end of your opponent's next turn, or you play up to 1 Pan Glimpse of Talent from your deck to shuffle your deck. And that's a nice one because, as you can see from Pan, it's a 1-drop Barrier 4k that has an auto when it's played you draw 1 card. So you get a draw off. You play this and get another card out that's 5k, the draw. And then you can play it for cheaper by its activate main, which is limit 1, pay 2 blue. If your leader is blue, play this card from your hand. So for 2 blue, you can get a 20k dual attacker and playing out a cantrip that draws your card. So you place it in hand, you get 2 cards on board, and 1 that can attack twice at 20k. That's very strong. And it's got another activate main that you're not really going to use that often, which is for 1 blue, discard this card from your hand, play up to 1 Pan Glimpse of Talent from your deck, then shuffle your deck. Now that seems a bit pointless because for 1 extra energy you can get a dual attacker on board and bring out the Pan from the auto instead. So it's a really odd effect to have that from on it, where you can just pay 1 extra, but then sometimes you might not be paying extra but want this out. But then if you can't pay the 1 extra, you'll not be going for the next card, because we got Pan on Pan's second effect, which is the activate main, is your opponent gains control of this card. Now that might seem an odd one, but it makes sense with the next card coming up being SS and Gohan Wrath Awakening. This is a 19k dual attack 4-drop. And it's got an auto, when this card is played, you choose one of your opponent's non-Pan SH battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less and bottom deck it. So you get a bottom deck something 5 or less from your opponent's board. And you can bring this out cheaper than its cost by activate main, limit 1 for 1 blue. If your opponent has a Pan SH card in play, which you can always give them with this Pan Glimpse of Talent, then you get to play this card from your hand. So essentially for free energy, you can play out this Piccolo, give him Pan, swing with the Pan, combo up on that as well, because you're most likely playing in this Gohan deck to combo push you some damage or get rid of something on their board. And then now some rest mode, you can pass it over to your opponent and then play out this Gohan and then bottom deck one of their cards. Now you have a dual attacking 19k and dual attacking 20k to push through for free energy. And if you combo 1 card in ZA charge, you get energy back to do more defensive things or more aggressive things, which is quite nice. And that is it for that little combo. And then we have the last 2 cards for the Gohan deck, being Son Goku and Vegeta Mortal Rivalry. This is the SR for the Gohan deck, and well, the second SR for the Gohan deck for either deck of the blue decks. And it's a 3 cost 15k with deflect, permanent as well, when this card would be removed from the battle area, removed from the game instead, so you can't unfortunately combo it from the battle area. But it does have an auto when it's played, you draw 1, and it's got a nice little effect for a way to charge the energy and be able to out combo or put a lot of pressure in big swings, either aggressively or defend big swings defensively. And as for his activate battle, which is limit 1 by paying 1 blue. If your leader is blue, discard as in use the energy and you discard 1 card from your hand. That's the cost. Use up to 2 mono blue cards with 5k combo power from your drop in a combo with the skills to get it for the turn. And additionally, if there are 3 or more cards in your combo area, you get to play this card from your hand, from your Z energy. So essentially you can just combo 1 card, use this effect to pay 1 blue, discard a card, and then combo 2 5k's from combo power from your drop. You have 3 in there, you get to play this out, draw 1, and you can combo more, and you've then comboed 15k as well, which is quite nice. And since you can use this as a way to empty your hand for your lead to then draw back up the 3 cards, which is quite nice. And playing from your Z energy means you can combo early, Z charge it so you can play it out from your drop Z energy at any point, which is really nice. Saving playing stuff from your hand that's not from your hand is pretty good. And then blue got a new kind of counterplay, which is a nice little thing that helps deal with floodgates, and this is Decisive Strike. Is a counterplay where if you have a blue Z battle card in play, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 3 or less, you place it at the bottom of an owner's deck instead. So from that glance, you just need to have a blue Z battle card in play, but there are some good ones at the moment, and even good new ones that you get in this set. And it's also got permanent, so you don't have to pay its energy cost, because if all your energy is mono blue, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost by placing one other card from your hand at the bottom of your deck. So you get the bottom deck a card from your hand to play this for free from your hand to stop a set from coming in or even a floodgate when you're attacking. But that doesn't matter with this SH1, because the more you lose your hand, the more you can use the effect to trigger back at the free. So it's not too bad. But that is it for the last blue archetype. And now we go into the next little bits. So we go into the black cards. So there's no black archetype in this set, but there are some black cards and some multicolour cards as well. So start off with the first lot of black cards. We have 3 cards that directly really support the set 6 Kid Goku deck, the one that revolved around the 4-star ball and mainly skillless, the first proper skillless deck. And it gets new support in this 1-drop 1k Bulma First Ally, this 3-drop 20k Android 8 Kind-Hearted Friend, and then this 6-drop 20k Son Goku Power Friendship. So start off with the Bulma. This is a helpful one to add with the SR Goku from that set to make sure you can get that 4-star ball to your hand to keep the draw power. And that's for his auto, where if your leader is black, when this card is played, add up to 1 Dragon Ball card from your deck to your hand and place up to 1 skillless black battle card with entry cost of 1 from your deck to your hand in your drop, then shuffle your deck. So you can use this in any black like Shenron lead or the black Kiku lead to get the 4-star ball, and the other ones to get the normal drop balls to help awaken as Wish as soon as possible. And it's even got a useful effect as well for the activate main, which is limit 1. Choose up to 1 of your black Son Goku childhood cards, and it gets 5k power for the turn. And since for that black skillless Kiku deck, it is got Son Goku childhood on both sides, so you can and it says just his cards. You can give your leader a 5k power boost for the turn while it's on the board every turn, which is quite nice. So it has that extra use outside just searching the board to keep you having draw power for the rest of the game. And alongside that, we have some defensive, extra defense for it, which is Android 8 Kind-Hearted Friend. So this is a 20k free drop with unique barrier and blocker. So barrier gives it a bit of nice protection, and blocker allows you to help defend a little bit better. He does have a permanent as well. When a black Son Goku childhood card with entry cost of 2 or more will be removed from your battle area by opponent's skill, you can place this card in his drop area instead. So that's quite nice in the fact that if you want to protect there's a card from the adversary box that allows you to bring up 2 skillless by taking up to 1 life, and bring up 2 1-drop skillless cards, and that one is a Goku and Android 8, so you can use this to protect that. So it's always nice to be able to use this as a blocker and protect that card to keep it on board, because that allows you to combo things and rest, which is really nice. And this one you're not going to be paying 3 energy for, you'll be using the activate main, which is limit 1. For 1 energy, if your leader is a black Son Goku childhood card, and there are a total of 2 or more skillless battle cards in your battle area or your drop, then you get to play this card from your hand. So that's going to be easy to pull off, because you're normally going to be using the Silence to bring out 2 skillless, or the Android 8 to be able to bring out skillless that you either then in your battle area or on your drop, and then play this out for 1 to have a nice 20k swing that's got a barrier or a 20k blocker. And that leaves us with the last one being Son Goku Power of Friendship. This one is a 6 cost 20k with deflect, and also when this card attacks, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards sent to his warp. That's quite nice. And this one is paid out for 3 instead of 6 because of activate main, where we're paying 3 if you have a black Android 8 card in your drop. Play this card from your hand, so you got to have specifically an Android 8 in your drop. And then you got the activate main, which is quite decent, which is once per turn if your leader, activate main once per turn if your leader is a black Son Goku childhood card, and you just got a 1 4-star ball from your hand, you get to switch this card to active mode, and it gains double strike for the turn. Now this isn't that great because there's already a 5-drop Goku. It comes down for 2 that has double strike at 20k, or 25k I think, and you need to just have 2 skillless cards in your drop to bring that out, which is not too bad. And when it attacks, you get to play a skillless card from your drop and give that skillless 5k power for the turn, and that's a 25k double strike one, and it doesn't require you to discard anything from your hand, like a 4-star ball, just requires you to play it, put it on board, and swing with it. Now it's good because it gets 2 swings at, but they're both 20k, so 20k single and double strike in case it removes stuff. But you got your black deck which has like overwhelm, which very strong overwhelms that you can just play instead to help get that removal. So this is not a good card, I don't think, the Goku card, but the Bulma and the Android 8 I feel are very good cards for the old black skill Kiku deck. And then the other 2 black cards we get are the two SR black cards, and they have very nice cards, especially the Black Masayan for black and Smoke Dragon for every deck as a sideboard card. So Black Masayan Assassin from the Darkness is a 6-drop 20k with no combo power and no cost for combo power, with deflect and a permanent where this card can only attack while you have 3 or more energy and your leader is a Z leader or you have a Z battle card in play. So it's going to be harder to pull off in black decks because there's not many black decks that have a Z leader, and there's not many good Z battle cards around. But you can still, can get that live to swing with the SSB for Cheetah Surmount the Impossible. That is a black battle card you can play in any black deck. And it's got a nice auto. When this card is played, choose one of 2 effects. So you have if it's your turn, your opponent. If it's your turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 6 or less, sent to his own warp. And if it's your opponent's turn, you get to choose up to one of your cards and give it 5k power for the turn. And that's going to be useful because the activate battle is limit 1 for 1 black. If your leader is black, play this card from your hand. So if you normally can play this in a black deck, that's normally playing more like mono black, and have that effect either swing, play during your turn to then warp one of your opponent's 6 cost or less, which isn't as great as the effect of playing during your opponent's turn, to give yourself like a 5k boost to your lead to help defend a little bit easier. So this is going to be a really nice card for black decks, and a nice one to pick up, but that's an SR as well. Then we got Black Smoke Dragon, Accumulated Negativity, and this one has provoked a lot of people to assume that Unisons are basically dead come this next set because of one of its skills. So it's a 2 cost 20k with deflect, a permanent counter attack like most of the dragon cards like Shenron or Black Smoke. And it's got an auto. When this card is played from your hand, you get to choose one of the multiple effects, being 3. So the first one is place up to 3 cards from the top of your deck in your drop, and if there are a total of 7 more cards in all drops, being yours and your opponent's, you get to draw 2. Now for decks that can like just mill themselves or draw a lot or just combo off a lot and fill up their grave a lot, or even if you're against someone who does that, just being able to drop this for 2 and draw 2 is quite decent. So it's like an never draw 8 if you need be. And especially if you're like a deck like Janemba or a mill deck that's milling your opponent to the drop, you get to trigger that quite easily. The next one, which I think is the best one, which every deck really needs and it's nice to have, is choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 7 or less, ignore and barrier, and send it to its owner's warp. So nice barrier removal for a lot of things. For only deck can have barrier removal now for 2 energy to things like Slug and everything that have barrier that you want to get rid of, because some colours are quite lacking in the barrier removal, so it's a nice one to have. And the one that's triggered people all up and down the Facebook and ever social media sites is the last one, where you choose up to one of your opponent's unisons with a specified cost of 2 or less and 7 of your markers and send it to its owner's warp. So this allows you to remove any 2 cost or less unison as long as it's got 7 or less markers on, and just warp it. Now a lot of people could going over like that units are dead because of this, but then you got to remember that there are still unisons that are specified cost of 3 or more that are strong and still can be played that are fine, and there's even unisons that they come down, they get their effect off trigger, and they don't really care if you remove them, especially if they've paid 2 to get a good effect from the unison, and you pay 2 to get rid of it, and that's what you're doing. If you're paying 2 to get rid of it, that's not too bad. You got rid of the unison, they can just play never, and it goes back and forth until one of you runs out of their copies. It only really hits heavy reliance, heavy decks that are heavily reliant on unisons, and that are things like the Goku GT Red deck, the Spaceship 1, that people dub Spaceship Coup, so Ship Coup, and then you have things like the what people say about the Cell that has the that apparently they rely on the Vegito for one line of play to burn a life and stuff like that, things like that, and even things like the Topo Lock, which is a deck that is getting support, and now with this thing probably going to be sided in most people's decks, it's going to have a harder time unless they see a lot of a fair few unisons. But still, it's not too bad. It's a very good card. It's not going to be like ruining unisons. It just might hurt some unisons for focus strategies, but they're just going to have to work to adapt like many decks have to do as time goes on. But these are very good SRs and very good cards, and we'll go on to the next one. And that is the last little bit of color cards in the set that weren't revealed. So the last SRs for blue, green, and the multicolor. So we got Beerus, Area Annihilator, a Z battle card for blue. Tyranny Immovable, a green battle card for green. A Z battle card for green, and then we got Sun Gohan and Piccolo Heroic Team, the multicolor. I think one of the few or only multicolors in this set for multicolors, being one of the multicolors that doesn't really need more support because they've got tons enough as it is. But going off with the Beerus, Area Annihilator, this is a 2 specified cost and 2 Z energy Z battle card for blue with 10k power. Has barrier, which is a nice step already. Not deflect though, so you can stop it from coming out. And it's got a very nice auto. When this card attacks, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards, which energy costs greater than the current energy, and place it at the bottom of his opponent's deck. And this card gets 5k power for the turn. So be able to swing it's just 15k, and bottom deck when your opponent's cards are higher than their energy. It's really nice. Something that blue, it's not something that blue lacks, but it's the activate main that's going to be something that blue lacks, which it now has easy access to. And that is activate main once per turn, paying 2 blue. So in addition to its cost to play it, you need to play another 2 blue, so 4 energy total to get this full effect. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, switch this card to active mode, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and bottom deck it. And bottom deck it to his owner's deck, and then this card gives dual attack for the turn. So for 4 energy, which blue can easily get to in any deck, mostly any blue deck, is swing it at first to get some removal, then activate the activate main, switch it back to active mode, bottom deck something through barrier, which is something that blue really lacks, barrier removal, and then you get to get another dual attack, and the auto does stacks as well, so every time it attacks it gets 5k power. So first one's going to be 15, then 20, and then 25 for the last swing, and if you put any other boost or combo power on top of it, that adds to it for the swing. Then we have Tyranny Immovable. This is a 2 cost specified 15k Z battle card with 2 Z energy, so same kind of cost as Beerus, but with a 15k instead of 10k. It has deflect instead of barrier, which is nice, as you can't stop it from coming out. And it's got a really nice auto. When this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with entry cost of 5 or less, and it can't be removed from the battle areas by your opponent's skills to the end of your next turn. So you can even give it to itself, so it can be removed by skills for the turn. To the end of your opponent's next turn, or one of your other cards to stop it from being removed, as long as it's 5 or less. So that's a nice little auto. And the activate main is a really nice one. In limit 1, place any number of your Z energy cards in their owner's drops, so any amount, and then choose up to one of your opponent's unisons to remove a marker from it for each Z energy you place in the drop. And the thing with green is currently doesn't have many good Z cards. Like it's quite lacking on the Z card, so this is a really nice way for most green decks to accumulate Z energy and then put it to use rather than just have quite lackluster options. Now it has a better choice of options. And additionally, if you place at least 2 or more Z energy in the drop by the skill, this card gains 10k power and double strike for the turn. So for 2 energy, you can get a 25k double striker out for 2 energy, while also destroying a unison and then pushing quite hard with it. It's really nice. And then we got Sun Gohan and Piccolo Heroic Team. This one they go between either either the blue or yellow SH decks, because it's a 8 drop, 19k power, dual attacking, and dual attack is limit 1 because, as you saw before, we had swap in the yellow deck. And it's got a nice auto which is also limit 1, which is when this card attacks, you draw one card, and if your opponent has a battle card in play, it gains 5k power for the battle, so going up to 24k, which is not too bad. And you got you got a nice little effect as well for the activate main, which is once per turn. If you have 5 or more Z energy or 2 or more Z battle cards in play, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or more, ignoring barrier, and play this card and place it in the bottom of his deck. So this is another way to get through barrier for black, blue or yellow can have access to. And all you need is 5 or more Z energy, which is not too bad to get to, or 2 or more Z battle cards in play, which is maybe a little bit harder to get to. And you just bottom deck anything that's 3 or more, ignoring barrier, which is very nice. And you got a way to play this out if you're not going to do any swap kind of shenanigans, which activate battle, either for a blue or red. Blue or yellow. And if your leader is blue or yellow, and you have 3 or more blue and or yellow cards in your combo area, you get a player's card from your hand. So that's really nice. So not too much of a bad way to bring it out, but also giving you some really strong effects is very good. So that is it for the last one shown in the set. Then we have the villainous cards that we saw. So there's villainous archetype to go with the magenta. I can't remember if we showed magenta, but it hasn't been. I don't think it's been officially shown on the thing, but you can get it in a Holly event we're still waiting information on. And for red we have Mercenary Tau, Antler 13 and SS Broly. All of them are villainous threats, or for Broly a returning villainous threat. And they all have the keyword villainous as well, which is villainous is when you play another villainous battle card or activate a villainous extra card skill, your opponent discards a card from their hand and you negate this skill for the turn. So if you have multiple villainous cards on board and you play one, each one of those that are already on board get the trigger for you playing a villainous card, making a discard. So you can make for like a interesting little hand control deck. And when it says buy a villainous battle card, they have the special trait of villainous in as well as their as what kind of trait they are, like say an android and earthling. So with Tau, his autos are when this card is played, look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 villainous card among them to your hand, ditch off your deck, and if you added a card to your hand by this skill, or if you added a card to your hand, you negate this card's skill for the game. So I think that for that one, how it just says card skill and not skills, it just refers to that auto. And then you got the auto of when you activate this card's villainous, you negate this card's skills for the game. So for Tau, you come down and use the first auto, and then have that auto negated for the game. So you can't use that effect of any other ones in the, I don't think, I'm not sure. And then you got the, if you trigger villainous, you get the other auto triggers to negate that villainous for the game, which is a really odd thing, probably just because of one drop. But then that's Tau. And then you got Antler 13, which is when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 10k power or less and KO it. So you get just pop something on the board. And some of these as well work with the villainous deck and with their actual deck. They're kind of like a little bit of support for. So the second effect is more for if you play it in the red Android 13 deck, which is activate main, limit 1. If your leader is a red Android 13 card and you place this card from your hand under a red Android card in your battle area as the cost, you get to return up to 1 red Android card with entry cost of 1 from your drop to your hand. And that's nice because with the 7 drop we've seen previously, to get its full permanent, you need to have an Android 13 underneath it. And if you used it by using the Android 17's effect to play itself for 2 energy, then you don't get an Android 13 under it, you just get an Android 14 and 15. But then you can use this to put it underneath it, so you've got that one ready to get the full effect of that card. Then we got SS Broly returning with villainous threat. This is a 4 cost 25k. With his autos are auto when this card is played from your hand, it gains triple strike for the turn. Now this can be played from your hand in the magenta deck by just paying 1 on its awaken side, and if you have 4 more energy, you get to play this card for hand for that 1 energy. Yeah, cheat out. And then the other auto is if your opponent has 3 or more energy, when this card is played, choose all your opponent's battle cards, and it gets 25k. You get minus 25k power for the turn. So in the red Broly, I think that's mainly from set 7. I think in the red Broly deck, this effect can actually be triggered. Like you can't play. You have to pay 4 for your hand to play it for the 7 in the deck, which is easier in the magenta deck than it is in the original deck. But at least in the old deck, you get to play that auto to play it out cheat out while your opponent has 3 or more energy, and board wipe their board of 15k, minus 15k or less. That's pretty nice. So that's the red cards. We had 3 of those. Then we get into some of the blue ones. We get Bojack and Red Ribbon Robot. So Bojack is unique, and Red Ribbon has no other skills, and they both share villainous. So Bojack is 15k, free drop. He's got an auto which is limit 1 for 1 energy if your leader is a Magenta SH card or a Bojack Brigade card. And it's your turn, so one bad thing about it is it's got to be in your turn. At the end of a battle where these cards are using the combo from your hand, or energy in a combo, you get a place card from your drop. So you can use it in the old Bojack deck for that, but you've got to do it proactively rather than defensively for that auto. And also, the other auto is when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost greater than or equal to their current energy and put it back in their hand. So that's not great. You still pay out for 1 by comboing it from your energy or drop in either the Magenta deck or the original blue Bojack deck. But then when you play it, you're just removing a card from their board that's greater than or equal to their current energy, but it goes to hand rather than the bottom of the deck or anything like that. So if it's not a Z battle card or something like that they just want to play again, you're not really doing much. That's not the greatest card. And then you got Red Ribbon Robot, and this has an auto where limit 1 for 1 energy. If it's your turn, so everyone that needs to trigger in your turn, when one of your villainous or Red Ribbon Army cards is removed from your battle area by a skill, play this card from your hand. That's probably going to be better for the Red Ribbon Army deck than it is villainous. And then you got the activate main once per turn. You place one of your villainous or Red Ribbon Army cards in his owner's drop. This card gains critical for the turn, so you can get yourself at least a 25k critical, which is not too bad, but you do have to sack off one of your villainous cards on board. But if you've got a Tau that's then negate his effects for the game, then that's fair enough, and that's not too bad. And the other 2 blue ones we got being Janemba and Hirudegarn. Once again, they both have villainous, and Hirudegarn has barrier. So Janemba is a 2 cost 15, and this is a nice way to recycle some of your cards, like we'll see in a bit, like a nice little there's one that's a negate, that is a nice way to recycling. And that's where his activate main limit 1 for 1 energy. If your opponent has 2 or more energy and you return one of your evil incarnate cards or 2 of your vanillas cards, none of which has the same name as the card to your hand, you get a player's card from your hand. So if you're playing in the Janemba deck, you get to bounce back one of your evil incarnate cards back to your hand. Well, not too bad to play itself out. Or if you're playing the Magenta deck, you got to return 2 of your villainous cards. So returning 2 of your villainous cards isn't that great unless you want to reuse like a cantrip or a searcher. That's not too bad. Yeah, it's nice to return some of them that's already used their effect that you want to reuse back to your hand, or once that's already attacked, and then bring this out mainly for the negate really. And then with Janemba, Hirudegarn, he is a 4 cost 20k. With his 2 autos are when his card attacks, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards, put on top there in his deck. So you top decking one of their cards to just make him like stifle in their draws, so they don't really see new cards. And his other auto switches card to rest mode. At the end of your turn, switch up to one of your energy active modes. You get an energy if you want to just rest it instead of attacking with it, which is so neither of those autos work very well together. I like to say, like with the Pycon deck, with the 8-drop that can swing once, and then on the second swing, instead of swinging the second time, you can switch off to active rest mode to untap an energy. You don't really get out with this, but at least it's got protection and barrier, though. That's the good thing. And then you've got the green ones. So with the green ones, we have Turles, Bio Broly, and SS Broly. So Turles is support for not just villainous, but also the old green Turles deck, and SS Broly is support as well, not just for the villainous deck, but for the Broly deck in the actual set. So with Turles, he is a unique 20k free drop with villainous, and his ever skill is activate main / battle limit 1 for 1. If it's your turn and there are 2 or more villainous cards and or Crash Corpse cards in your battle area and or combo area, you get base card from your hand. So that's a nice little bit of extra support for the green Turles. Be able to play this out as a 20k beat stick, essentially, no other effect. Or play this in Magenta, just bring us out mid battle to trigger villainous, which is quite cool because it counts on battle area and or combo. So it's nice little support for 2 decks. Then we have Bio Broly, villainous threat. This one's an interesting one. It doesn't really go in any other old decks. There's no Bio Broly deck. It can go in a never Broly deck, because it's technically a Broly, and is a 20k free drop dual attacker, and it's also outside of Villainous. Is limit 1, when this card is KO'd, play this card from your drop in rest mode. So you can attack with it twice, and then if they try to get rid of it, just by KOing, so it doesn't trigger off any ever skills that bounce to the hand, warping, or reducing by power. Just when it's KO'd, play this card from your drop in rest mode. Not too bad. Not too bad. And then we got SS Broly, Villainous Threat, and this is a good one for both. It's more for the Broly deck, because it's a 5-drop 25k with Deflect, Unique, and Dual Attack. All good key skills. And its skills outside of Villainous, its first one is an auto. When this card is played during your opponent's next turn, reduce the energy cost of the first extra card you activate from under one of your Broly BR cards by 1 green. So that's an auto to work with the new Broly deck. And the other auto is when this card attacks, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards to KO it. And this has got dual attack, it's going to KO 2 of your opponent's cards, swinging twice. And you can cheat this out, but you can only cheat this out by its activate main for the Broly deck, which is limit 1 by paying 2 green. If your opponent has 2 or more energy and there are 6 or more cards under your green Broly BR card, play this card from your hand. And you can cheat this out in the magenta deck, but you have to get the 5 energy and then pay 1 for the Awaken size effect. Outside that, it's going to be more used in the Broly deck than it is for the magenta deck. So some of these Villainous work really well for the magenta, but most of it's not looking to be the greatest deck, fun deck anyway. But it is a good card for the Broly deck. And then we have the yellow ones. So for yellow, it's covered by Garlic Jr., Lord Slug, and Golden Frieza. So Garlic being for the Garlic deck, Slug being for the new yellow Slug deck, and Frieza being more for magenta than it is for any other deck. So Garlic is a free cost 20k with Indestructible and Unique, and as well as Villainous, it's got a skill that really only works with the Garlic deck, which is activate main, limit 1 for 1 yellow. If Makio stars in your battle area, play this card from your hand, and that's really good. That gives you a new beat stick to have, and with Indestructible, it's gonna be hard to remove. So it's a really nice buff to the yellow Garlic deck. Then we have Lord Slug. He is also a 20k free drop, but he's got the difference in that he's a 1-cost 10k combo, like with the new yellow Slug stuff. He does have double strike, and his other skills outside of Villainous is a permanent bond too. This guy gets 5k power for the 5k power, and that's really easy to pull off if you've got another card in your battle area. And his other two autos are when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. So nice bit of removal. It works for either deck, the magenta or the yellow Slug. And the other auto is just for yellow Slug, where if your leader is a yellow Lord Slug card, when this card is used in the combo, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode that isn't attacking and KO it. That's quite nice, especially for a nice little bit of removal. That works quite well with the Slug deck. And then Golden Frieza is the counter attack, the negate for the magenta deck. So it's counter attack, negate the attack, and if there are 1 or fewer Villainous cards in your battle area, play this card. So you've got to have at least 1 or less Villainous cards in your battle area to be able to play this out. But that's easy enough, which you then be able to bounce some back, at least 2 back to play this and another one for 1 energy to play it itself, swing with it, and then have this ready to negate again on your opponent's next turn. And you're not going to be paying 2 for it because it's permanent. Is during your opponent's turn, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, and magenta actually reduces the specified cost, makes it so there's no specified cost for Villainous cards, which is not too bad. And then we move on to the black ones. There are some multicolored as well, but we have the black ones now. And these support more of the Dragon Ball movies, like the Curse of the Blood Rupees and Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle, as you can see by the sagas, and also one for Black Broly as well, which is quite interesting. So we've got King Gurumi's being the cantrip of the deck, being a 1-drop 4k, and its also is when this card is played, you may draw 1 card, and if you do, negate this card's skills for the game. So if you do use the cantrip, you lose all skills on the card for the game. And its other also is if you activate this card's Villainous, then you get negate this card's skills for the game. So you either get the use of this, either they use Villainous, make your opponent discard when you play never Villainous card, or use it as a cantrip as well. The cantrip's probably a little bit better for the consistency of the deck. And then Lucifer is the super combo for the deck, and it's also as if your leader is black and your life is at 4 or less. With this card using combo, draw 1 card. So it's like a standard super combo that also has Villainous on it as well. Then we've got Broly Villainous Threat. So he's a 2 cost 15k with a 2 specified black. And his also is when this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, and warp it. It's not too bad, not the greatest for the in support for the black Broly deck, but as everyone is a little bit better, which is activate main, limit 1 for 1 energy. If your leader is a Broly card and you send this card from your drop to your warp, return up to 1 Broly card without super combo, and energy goes to 7 or less from your drop to your hand. So that allows you to add back the old 7 drop green Broly from I think set 7 that you normally want to play out off the ISR in the black Broly deck, which has a nice little bit of support as well, and easy enough to mill this off. Play a few copies as well. So that's the black ones, not the best ones, but not too bad for the villainous deck, or for the deck they support. Doing on to some multicolour ones. So for the first two of the multicolour ones, we have Cooler and Beerus. Cooler being more support for the Cooler Mill, and Beerus being support for his red Beerus deck. And then Cooler's one, he is a free drop 25k with Deflect and Double Strike. Remember, all multicolours have energy exhaust, so he's got Deflect and Double Strike. And his also, as well as having Villainous, is limit 1. When this card is played, you choose 1 or 2 effects. You either get a switch on the energy to active mode, so in the magenta deck, it's nice to be able to play this out for 1 and then untap that 1 energy. Or you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and give it 25k power for the, minus 25k power for the turn. So that's the effect that more helps Cooler Mill. But then you don't really want to be paying free for this in Cooler Mill to minus something like one thing with 25, because you're paying free energy for that when there's other things that do things a lot better than that. And then Beerus is kind of a nice one. He is a free drop with Deflect and Offering, so a never multicolour card we get him with Offering. It's nice to have some more of that keyword skill, and that's all he's got outside of Villainous. He's just a free drop 25k, so he's going to be quite decent in the magenta deck to just, when you get the 3 or more energy, pay 1, play him out to have a 25k beat stick, and also have Offering triggered to either make him crit life or you draw 2. So this will be quite good for the draw power in that deck. And then we have Dr. Uru and Medical as the last two to round it off. So Dr. Uru is for support for his old deck, and Medical is support for the yellow Medical decks, or even the new green one, or the newish green one. And Dr. Uru, he is a 15k 2-drop, and he's only ever skills outside Villainous and Electric Exhaust is an auto, where when this card is played, you choose 1 or 2 effects. You ever get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 2 or less and place it at the bottom of his opponent's deck, so bottom deck something 2 or less. Or choose up to one of your opponent's unisons and remove 2 markers from it, so the unison hate. So the green side being the second effect of unison hate, and the blue side of it being bottom decking a 2 or less from your opponent's board. So that's not too bad. So it gives the Villainous deck some unison control, because it can't play anything outside of Villainous cards, so it can't play the new black Smoke Dragon. And then Medical, his effect is 15k 4 cost 15k with unique. He has a permanent where if you have a Villainous card in play, you get to negate this card's energy exhaust in all areas. So normally that'd be live from turn 2 onwards. And then his also is when this card is played from your hand, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, which energy costs 5 or less, in rest mode, and KO it. So that's quite nice. So you either get a multicolour you can put in energy exhaust, which isn't useful, isn't the greatest, or you get this auto, which isn't that great really. Not when you have error effects that can do better things as well. So some of them are like hit and miss for Villainous, some of them are not too bad, but you get a lot of Villainous cards to go towards the magenta deck to have a fun little janky deck there, because we have no pre-release for this set this time. So that is the Villainous cards. Then we go on to the next lot, being the SPRs. So we got the last, I think the ever 8 SPRs, I think it is, or no, the ever 7, because you had 3 in red. So in the SPRs for green, we get the 8-drop Broly getting an SPR, looking quite nice. True Power Awaken looking very nice for that SPR. And then Gogeta looking quite nice. Not amazing looking at this, but a nice one for green and Gogeta. And then we get the another 3. So we get 1 for blue, 1 for yellow, and 1 for black. So we get the Goku and Vegeta, the blue one. That one, the one for the Gohan deck, for either of the blue decks, getting the SPR treatment. But then once again, it has the artwork from the movie, which is more like game-ish looking. So it's not as great as some of the other ones look, but it's still not too bad. Just a bit too much yellow and gold there. Then we have Slug getting a SPR version of the 8-drop with a scene right at the film when he just pops his head out and blasts Goku. That's quite nice. That's quite a cool SPR. And then Black Masin getting the ever SPR looking quite nice and looking really good. Then the last one we got is the one we kind of was shown off. Kind of if it's in a trailer or if it's in a strategy page. But we got the Gohan and Piccolo heroic team, the multicolor one. This getting SPR showing off orange Piccolo and Gohan with his little in a little pose. So it's some quite nice SPRs in this set. Not as amazing as some of the previous sets, but still not too bad for some of them. So that is the SPRs. So next is the TP. So we have some of the blue ones and a multicolor one as well. So we got Gotenks Fusion Practice for the blue Gotenks deck. And we have Android 17 Defending Friends, which is for any blue deck, really, any blue deck. And then we got Beerus Divine Destroyer's Advent, being a nice little rival card for multicolor and for more offering support, which is quite nice. It's nice to see offering because we don't have much of it, and it's a very nice and cool keyword as well. So for Gotenks, we have a free drop 10k, which is swap 8, limit 1 for 1 blue. If you have 3 or more energy, mono blue Gotenks SH with energy cost of 8. So you can do this this is a way you can drop it by not using the Union Fusion by paying, which I think requires 3, and you draw 2 and drop a Trunks and a Goten SH. Gotenks, yeah, Goten SH, and then you get activate main for 1 blue. If your leader is blue, has Gotenks in its character name, and you send 1 blue card with a Goten in its character name, 1 blue card with Trunks in its character name from your hand, and will drop to your warp. Play this card from your hand. So you get to basically just pay 1 blue, and send 1 of each of the materials from your drop to your warp to play this card from your hand, and then pay 1. So you get to cheat out the 8 drop for 1 less without losing cards in hand. But then with the 8 drop, you just basically play itself and replace the 2 cards you sent from it, and to do for 1 energy less, and you don't really lose anything either. So it's just basically just a way to do it for 2 less, but in a promo as well. So I'm not sure if that makes it better, but it's another option for it, and another way to try bring it out. Then you have Android 17 Defender Friends, a really good floodgate for blue decks, which it's like they don't have enough already, and it's counter-attack, negate attack, play this card from your rest mode. So similar to the Saiyan synergy where you get negate attack, play this card in rest, then you have an auto. This is limit 1 if your leader is blue, and either your leader is a Z leader, you have 3 more Z energy, or you have a Z battle card in play. When this card is played for the turn, your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they choose 1 card from hand and place it at the bottom of the deck each time. So that's not too bad, and it's a nice one as well. Be able to work for any blue deck, give them that extra bit of floodgate as well, and make your opponent bop deck out if they want to continue going through. And then we have Beerus. So he is as we said, offering 15k 4-drop, which comes in for rival, red yellow for either 1 red or 1 yellow, and his offering is limit 1, so you can't do multiple in a turn, which is fair enough. And he's got permanent where if a red yellow multicolor is in your energy, you reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand by 1. So you can use this as a free 5k combo power for multicolor. And then is when this card attacks, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less in rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode until the end of their next turn. So that's quite good. Be able to lock down stuffing from keep it in rest mode for the turn. Keep swinging this every turn, locking something down is quite nice. And being quite versatile for red yellow is a nice thing, because red yellow is one of the least represented ones, one of the least supported color combinations at the moment, I think, if I remember correctly. But that's not all for the TVs we got revealed. We also got some of the yellow ones as well. So we got Metacaller, Infinite Terror, SS Vegeta Fighting Back, and Super 17 Shock and Arrival. So we got Metacaller, which supports really any yellow deck. I feel like it supports any yellow deck, but it's more made for the yellow Metacaller. We've got SS Vegeta supporting the Hellq deck, and then Super 17 supporting the yellow Super 17 deck. So Metacaller Infinite Terror, this is one that I say supports any yellow deck because of its skills. This is a 2-cost 10k with a counter attack, limit 1 if your leader is a mono yellow. Negate the attack, play this card. And it's got 2 permanents. First one being if you have a Z leader or a Z battle card in play, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. And permanent is Bond 2. This card gets 5k power for the bat and barrier. And that's really nice, especially since with yellow, they got some strong yellow Z battle cards. There's some strong, and some of them are good Z leaders. And if you have either of those on board, you get to use its counter just negate attack, play itself for free. And it's got a nice, and it's permanent being bond 2, meaning if you have one ever card in play, one ever battle card in play, it becomes a 15k barrier card. And when you got things like the yellow slug and stuff, being a negate attack on slug and play this out to have a never card that has barrier to keep that slug's effect live to lock your opponent out of trolls is very strong. And yeah, just having any Z battle card in play, not specifically yellow, just any Z battle card in play in yellow with a mono yellow lead means this is live as a free negate, which is very, very nice. Then you've got SS Vegeta fighting back, which is Deflect, 15k free drop, and it's also place one card from your hand on top of your deck. When this card is played, play up to one Android 17 Defender of Heroes from your drop with 2 markers on it, so that's the unison that came with the Hellq deck that's mainly used. And you play this for cheap by activate main for 1 yellow if your leader is a yellow Son Goku GT card and your opponent has 2 or more energy. Draw a card and play this card from your hand. So that's really nice, just you get to play it for 1 from your hand by replacing itself to play out the when your opponent has 2 or more energy, play it in the Goku deck, and then play top deck a card from your hand to play out the Android 17, and that comes up with 2 markers, then can use this effect, which I think is a +2, to then reconfigure your top of your deck to set up ready for the leader. So that's really good support. I feel it could bring it up, may not bring it up to like massively into the format, but it's at least good support for the deck, which is what these legacy TP cards should be doing. Then you have Super 17 Shocking Arrival. So this is a free drop 9k with barrier. Auto limit 1 if your leader is a yellow Super 17 card and it's your turn. When this card is discarded from your hand by a skill, look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck, and up to 1 yellow unison card with a specified cost of 2 among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. It's not too bad. I think it goes well with the Super 17 deck. I can't really remember what it does. And then you got the activate main limit 1. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, switch to rest mode. So if you have this on board, which is protected by barrier, you can always switch them to rest mode to trigger some of the yellow cards, which once it's switched to rest, do things stuff like that, like Bergamo and Poutine and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. I'm not sure if it supports the deck like the other 2 here do, but it's still support for Super 17 and kind of help it a little bit. Then we have the last 3 TPs, being an SSB Vegeta Disciple of the Gods, which is for the yellow Wii stack. Then you got Son Goku Evolution Wakes, which is for the Goku Zeno lead from I think set 11. And then you got a Finn card in Finn Dark Life form. So for SSB Vegeta Disciple of Gods, he is a free drop 20k blocker with EX Evolve for 1 yellow to play and draw 1 card, play on top of a yellow Vegeta with energy cost of 2. And then auto is limit 1. When you activate a counter skill, switch this card to active mode and choose it to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. So if you activate a counter skill, so if you got a negate or a counter play or anything like that, switch it to active mode and then rest 1 of your opponent's battle cards, get an extra block and stop another attack, which is quite decent. And then when this card is removed from your battle area by opponent's skill, you get to play up to 1 yellow Son Goku card with energy cost of 2 from your deck or drop and shuffle your deck if you look through it. So that's quite nice. So if it does get removed by removing it, you get to replace it with a Goku of 2 or less, or just cost 2 from deck or drop as well. Then we got Son Goku Evolution Awaits, a free drop 5k, overwhelm free. So it can come out, you can overwhelm it by warping 3 cards from warping your drop that has at least 3 cards in it. And it's also when it's played by overwhelm, draw a card and becomes a 15k for the turn. So yeah, that's not the best when it comes to overwhelming free, but the fact it's a 5k beforehand means it makes it easier for Union Fusing for the like Vegeta stuff and stuff like that, because most of them are 5k, especially with the Vegeta Super Combo as well being a 5k that you can use with it. Now there are better overwhelms, but it's still in that sense it's not too bad. And you got the activate main, where if your leader is a Son Goku Zeno only card, your opponent has 3 or more energy and you remove this card from your drop or warp from the game. For the turn, you reduce the skill cost of SS4 Son Goku Conqueror of Evil, the Zeno Evolve skill, from your hand by 2. So that means you get to play this you get the Zeno Evolve that Goku for I think 3 black, I think it is. So it's not too bad. Like it's a nice way to bring back a card for an old card, a card in non orange type into play and make it a little bit easier, cheaper with today's meta. But I'm not sure if it's going to be that great because everything you can do, but still it's nice legacy support for an old deck to go with the function the deck was meant to do. Then you have Finn Dark Life form, so this is auto for 1 black. If your leader is a black Finn card, you have 2 or more energy, and your opponent has a skillless battle card or unison in play. So that's a skillless battle card or a skillless unison. When you add this card to your Z energy, you may play 1 Finn card with energy cost 2 or less and 15k power or more from your hand, and if you do, you draw a card. So you get the, for one, cheat something out. That's 2 or less and 15k or more. So normally like it fits in with that, like it's a skillless one, that's 20k, and you get to replace it by drawing a card as well in your hand. So it's not too bad. I'm not sure if this would be great for things. I've never played it, but it is support for Finn nonetheless. And that is the end of the TP. So now we go to the winner one, so to see which 4 have the winner art. And first 2 are Android 17 Defender Offense. Could probably be the Chase one because it's a very good card for blue. And we got the the Green Freezer one having the Never winner as well. Like I face for this Freezer, there probably were better choices for the winner one, but it is what it is. The other 2 we get are Cooler and Beerus. Now these are good ones. Like Cooler is a very good. I still feel Cooler is a very good one for any yellow deck, and Beerus is a nice one as well for like what it does. It's like a very nice skill, especially if you want to go red yellow for any deck. Then this is a very good choice. So that is it for the winners, TBs, and for the TBs in general. Now we get to give a look and see the campaign rares. So for this first time in a main set for a long time, I think since set 9, we haven't had campaign rares, and now we get one showing the evolution of Gohan through the Sun Gohan rares. And here are the first 3, being Sun Gohan Hostile Saiyan Encounter, Sun Gohan Dependable Young Fighter, and Sun Gohan Facing the Android Terror. So if you can see a little bit if they're pushed together, which unfortunately got the white barrier around them, getting these images, you have the like show of Gohan going through his timeline through like the different sagas up until the new movie. So that's what's going around. You can see they've put them together and make a little timeline for Gohan. So you have from black one being from the Saiyan saga, going to the Frieza saga with yellow, and then Cell saga with red. And they all have quite interesting skills. So the black was probably the worst one. It's got a permanent when this card removed from the battle area, it's removed from the game instead. And they all have an effect where by paying 1 of the color of the card in energy, and your leader being the same color as the card itself, you get a skill when you add it to your Z energy, which is very nice, a really nice thing to have for this for the game. But first, before we get into that for the black one, we have the auto on it, which is limit 1 if your leader is a black or Master's Teaching cards. That works with the Piccolo we're going to see. I'm not sure I can't remember if it works for the blue Gohan. I forgot to check that. If your life is 4 or less, and you add 1 card from your life to your hand, and place 1 card from your hand at the bottom of your deck, when your opponent attacks with a battle card, you may play this card from your drop or warp in rest mode and negate the attack. So that's not the best, but it's not the greatest. So you gotta have 4 less life, you gotta take a life, and then bottom deck a card from your hand to play this card from your drop or warp in rest mode and negate the attack. Like it does negate the attack, which is good for if it's like a card that's attacking, it's got double strike or triple strike. But it doesn't work if you're on 1 life, and you still got to take a life to do it. So if they're still doing 1 damage to you, which isn't great. It's not an amazing card, but it's still an option if you want it to have just a free negate from your warp. And its auto when charged is also for 1 black. If your leader is black, when this card is added to your Z energy, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards for energy cost of 4 or less and set to its warp. Now this is a decent one where you get the just is your player's turn, so you get to combo this, then charge it, pay 1 black, and then warp one of their battle cards. Yeah, charge your Z energy and then trigger this effect, paying 1 black to warp one of your opponent's battle cards for 4 or less, which is quite nice. That's probably the better effect of it to use. And for the yellow one, this one's a very nice one, where it's free drop 15k. I think most of them are apart from the green one and blue one. And it's got 3 autos. First one is limit 1 for 1 energy. If your leader is yellow or Master's Teaching card, and your life is at 4 or less. When an opponent's card is switched to rest mode by one of your skills, you get to play this card from your hand. And its ever auto is when this card is played. If your opponent plays a non-barrier battle card with energy goes to 5 or more, it enters play in rest mode. So it puts an effect while it's on board for all any card your opponent plays that's not barrier and 5 or more. So I remember people mentioned about the Gogeta 8, but then if someone's playing SS4 Gogeta bad and want to drop that card, they're not going to drop something before to trigger this. They're going to drop the 8 drop straight away. And its effect when Z charge is for 1 yellow if your leader is yellow. When this card is added to your Z energy, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in it with energy cost of 6 or less in rest mode and KO it. So that's quite nice if your opponent swings with something 6 or less and you Z charge this after comboing out, you get to pop that card, or even something else as well, which is quite nice. And the red one is pretty nice. it works really well, as we're going to see for the Caller Mill. So here's his auto. When this card is played, choose up to 7 of your opponent's battle cards and all unisons, and you get minus 10k power for the turn. And additionally, if you chose 5 or more cards with the skill, this card gets 10k power and double strike for the turn. And its skill to charge is by auto for 1 red. If your leader is red, when this card is added to your Z-energy, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards, and it gets minus 15k power for the turn. So that's not the best out of the possible choices for the Z charge, but its first auto is really nice. And that, as I said, it works really well for Caller Mill because you get to choose up to 7 of your opponent's battle cards and unisons and minus 10k power for the turn to trigger quite a few mills. And you can play it using its activate main / battle for limit 1 for 1 energy if your leader is red, or Master Teaching card and you if it's a 4 less. Play this card from your hand, so you get to play it out during your player's turn for 1 energy as long as your leader is red. So that's pretty decent. Or a Master Teaching's card. Then we go on to the yellow one, the green one and the blue one, to finish off the timeline. So we got Latent Power Unleashed and Power Reclaimed. So the green one is very nice. I really like the green one. Very good support. Like the green is getting a lot more generic support, which is very good. So it's a 6-drop 25k with deflect and critical. His first auto is when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, KO it, and this card can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills until the end of their next turn. So this is a nice way, just being a pop something, make it so it can't be KO'd, which is only relevant in green really, and then have a 25k critical to swing with. And its effect when Z charge is also by paying 1 green if your leader is green. When this card is added to your Z energy, choose 1 of your opponent's unisons and remove 3 markers from it. That's any unison, remove 3 markers of it. So green has that nice way to just not worry about unisons because it's got quite a few effects to just rinse through them. So this is a very nice one for green, but if you remove 3 markers as well, especially swinging at your opponent's blue unison. Common this card to get up to 20 potentially to taking 1 marker off, then Z charging it. Pay 1 green to remove the last 3 markers on it, just remove it in just 1 swing. It's very, very nice. And you can also play this card with activate main, limit 1 for 2 energy. If your leader is green or Master Teaching card and you utilize 4 or less, play this card from your hand if you want to play it for the 25k crit. Now I'd rather use it for just the Z charging auto, but you can play it using that effect and get a lot of benefit if you want to. And the one thing I find weird is that if you look at most of them, the art goes over, apart from the blue one doesn't connect to the green one, so you would think that the rest of Piccolo would be cover up to the green, and then Gohan's fist would be on the blue one. But though the blue one stops there, not showing it, let the art follow over. But the blue one is 8-drop 20k with deflect and triple strike. First auto being when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, place at the bottom of his own deck. So it's quite decent. And then its Z charge effect is for 1 blue if your leader is blue. When this card is added to your Z energy, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards for energy cost of 5 or less and place it at the bottom of your opponent's deck. And you can play this out for an activate battle, limit 1 for free. If your leader is blue or Master Teachings and your life is 4 or less, play this card from your hand. Just play it from your hand. So that's not too bad. Like, this could be quite decent in the Gohan deck, and you need to give it a try. And because you can just get bottom one, any one of your opponent's battle cards for free by paying 3 energy activate battle, you play its turn. It's quite decent. And then that is it for the SDRs. So they're quite good rares, all with nice Z charge effects for all colours. I really like this, and it's just a nice campaign round. It might be probably one a box, but we'll see. And then we go on to the next lot of cards, which are the secret rares. So the second one we get to see, because we saw the first one was Cumber, as the evil Saiyan, and we get Cell Max for the second one. So Cell Max, Deliverer of Despair, is 8-drop 40k. Ultimate quadruple strike, so 4 damage if it connects. Its permanent is if you have 3 or less energy, this card can attack or be removed from battle areas. So if you drop it 3 or more, it's going to be unable to be removed, which is very nice. And also, but then can't attack, so you have to get 4 more energy to be able to attack with it. It's got a nice auto, which is reminiscent of the SSB Vegeta, which if a skill remove this card from a battle area, you get to choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignore barrier, KO them, and then place 1 of your opponent's life in their drop area. So this is a really nice one. And also you can play out for cheap by activate main by paying 1 green if your leader is green. Play this card from your hand. So with just 1 energy you get to play out this 40k quadruple strike to swing with, but you got to be at 4 more energy to swing with it. And if your opponent removes it if it's removed by a skill, either yours or your opponent's, you get to wipe their board, ignoring barrier of battle cards, and then basically crit him a life as well. So it's really nice. It gives green a nice thing of if all you have to do now is get your opponent down to 1, play this card, remove it by a skill, and burn that last life, which is really nice. Which is, I think, really Before this, only really something red had in a few skills, which is it's nice that green gets a very, very strong secret rare, which it already had quite a few good ones already. But that's just the second one. Now we get the third one as well, which was revealed today, which is the Son Gohan Beyond the Ultimate in his beast form from the movie. Now this is a never blue one. Now I know most people are probably going to look at this and then compare it to Hatch, even though they do two totally different things. One is defensive, one is offensive, and this one is a very nice offensive one. So it's a 40k that has a nice auto, has 8 drop as well, where when this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards and units ignoring barrier, return them to their owner's hands, and if your opponent has more cards in their hand than you get to place one card from your opponent's life at the bottom of the deck. So this is a really nice one, especially in the blue Gohan deck, where you get to play this out, bounce all their cards to the hand, ignoring barrier, and if they got more cards in hand of you, which in the Gohan deck, then most likely they will, you get the bottom deck on their life, which helps you even push even further. This is a really nice one. And it also has an activate main / battle, which once per turn, choose up to 2 of your cards, switch them to active mode, and if you switch this card to active mode by a skill, it gains critical for the turn. So that is really nice. So you can choose itself and any one of your cards, and you can either choose 2 energy, it's this card and another card, like a leader or another battle card, or even this card and energy. Switch an active mode, and as long as you choose this one, it gains critical for the turn, meaning that it's essentially a dual attacking critical card. Like untaps an energy as well, which is very, very strong. And being activate main / battle, so even if it's negated, you can then switch this card to active mode anyway, and attack with it again afterwards if it does get a negate. And it's going to come down cheap for his activate main for 2 blue. If your leader is blue and you have 3 or more energy, and you place 2 cards from your hand at the bottom of your deck, you get to play this card from your hand. So it gives you an even easier chance to be able to force a bottom deck for your opponent as well. This probably going to be my choice of secret rare now instead of Pan for the Gohan deck, because you can put a lot of pressure on, and this can potentially hit 3 life with 2 crit 3 life without them getting it back to the hand. And the 40k is massive. It's really nice. And that's the 2 secret rares, so very strong secret rares. Next we go on to the ban list as well. So we got the ban list, and we have a few cards in. So we have Son Gohan Heartfelt Plea. This is the first card of 2 to get banned. So we have 2 banned cards, 1 limited and 5 erratas. So you have Heartfelt Plea, and they said the presence of the card has been monitored since it was first limited, and due to the high power level of Zenkai series cards, make it easy to play never before, they've banned their card. But it's more the fact that, like they say that's just to higher power level Zenkai. Really, this is just more of a luck sack factor card, where if you drew into it, then if you drew into it before you awakened, you had an easy time to just drop a triple strike, 30k triple strike, to put more pressure on, especially if you're an aggressive deck, and then potentially make your opponent either give you 2 new cards or crit a life, which is very strong. So it should have been banned from the get-go, but they said limited, and now they finally see that it should be banned. And not only that, we also have Piccolo, a new ruler. So Piccolo, new ruler, is the ever card being banned, because they say the presence of it has been monitored since it was first limited, and in order to increase diversity in deck building, we decided to ban this deck. Like if they're on about this kind of card limiting deck diversity for deck building, like limiting the diversity in deck building, this card being a problem, then there's a lot of cards you need to look at in the game that limit deck building. Like if you look at like a lot of green decks, they have to play because of how they've been releasing cards and stuff like that. Green has got to run like a certain package, like a unison package. It's the same kind of unison package if they're running unisons for any deck, which isn't great because but then this is something that green has to put onto. And same with like some yellow decks and some blue decks, they're running the same kind of cards over, so it's not hitting this to help diversify deck building is a bad reasoning, but it makes sense because it's a really strong card. But this is not hitting the new red decks with the ones running rampant. It's running all the other red decks more than it is running the new decks. Because if you look at the red decks that we're topping recently in the last few events, have not been any deck other than SS4 Goku and Sin. So this is hitting more, like these hits you'll see are hitting more ever red decks than they are the current new red decks. And that is the 2 ban cards, so just Heartfelt Plea and New Ruler ban cards, and the only limited card is Yamcha. So if you ever said when the cards first came out that Yamcha would be the first free counterplay from set 10 that would be banned or limited, people will probably laugh at you for that, thinking that, especially when we had Frieza and Gohan, Frieza and Trunks being the strongest at the time. But yeah, this one's been limited because it apparently inhibits the level of plays aiming to play battle cards, including several strategies represented in the Zenkai series. In order to allow those decks to be playable, they are limiting this card. This is one of those cards where either it's hit and miss. It's either really strong or really good in certain decks, and it just happens to be very strong at the moment because of the power level of the two current ones. It's not really used in Sin, because Sin doesn't really use a main deck of Unison if you're playing a good version or the correct version of it. Because you're playing it as aggressive deck, you're not gonna wanna like stifle off your aggression to play a Unison. You want to be aggressive as possible. Whereas SS4, you would normally want to get that Unison down turn 2 to help play your cards for free to get actual power running and have this defensively to use. So this kind of makes sense to limit it because how strong it is with red decks, but it's still not something that not a great hit really for the reasoning. And then we got some errata cards. So the first one we get errata is Senzu Bean. So we're finally having Senzu Bean errated. After all this time, Senzu Bean gets fired. So since the first set, and so many formats where we've had this card be a problem in the deck that gets hit in the end from the format or is dominating the format, they finally, after 18 sets, decided to actually make a difference to it. So the reasoning is it's always been a powerful card, but with the new interactions in the Zenkai series, players are able to greatly extend their turns, play strength by switching anti-attack mode on their turns. So apparently only in the Zenkai series we've been able to use this card more aggressively, only in this Zenkai series, not any other one. So they decided to finally change it so it's back to being a very powerful defensive tool for blue decks and eliminate its offensive capabilities. Because apparently in the Zenkai series, this is the only time when people have actually used it aggressively instead of just as a defensive tool as it's meant to be. So ignoring things like Storm, any blue-yellow deck we've had, and any format we've had decks that use being aggressively on their turn, earns up 2 energy on offensively to push through plays and be able to do more things with energy. Tech in blue, which is the whole reason most people tech blue for that blue spice, air quotes were used, and they finally errated it. So now instead of being the only difference is now it can only be used on your opponent's turn. You can only use Senzu Bean, so it's been nerfed down to being defensive, which hits it quite hard. This is the sad hit that I didn't really want to see because I like using it offensively as well, just like the flexibility of using it on your turn, your opponent's turn. But there were some stupid decks that allowed it to be very aggressive, untapping energy, which weren't fun. So this is one that is sad to see, but it does make sense. It makes sense they did. They did it way too late. They should have done it ages and ages, many sets ago. Many sets ago. Next one we have is Violent Rays. Apparently, this is one of the most stupid hits that they've hit Violent Rays because it limits, because red's popular and has a good floodgate. They decided to hit it because there's whole thing is there's a few strategies involved around attack with multiple. When it's released, there were very few strategies around swinging with multiple battle cards at 20k or more in a turn. Where there wasn't. There's always been strategies following with a lot of 20ks. This is why this was such a good card when it's released back in set 11. But apparently, just because the release of Zenkai series, this disrupts some of the new strategies of swinging with 20k or more, and this change will allow red deck players to still stop the highest power attack plays, which makes sense, but not interfere with all strategies. So the reasoning kind of makes sense, even though it's not really true. It's not they're blaming it all on Zenkai series. It's dropped in their new series, which it's just been good. This didn't need a hit, but they decided to hit it, and the hit is basically changing it from now. It doesn't restrict 20k of more powered battle card or unison swings. It's now 30k. Now it makes sense if they just switch the battle card to 30k, so it's battle cards with 30k power and more counter attack, or unisons with 20k power and more attack. But we hit both, And the only 30k unisons in this game are more secret rares and stuff, and one of them is a secret rare that you can still get around this. So it's like, I understand the battle card part, that makes sense, because it still hits some big bosses in most decks that have 30k power, but the unison one was a stupid change and shouldn't have been amended. Then he hit Beerus, the Visitor, so this is one of the newer cards that got errated, and the reason was because a printing error allowed it to draw more cards than it was originally intended, and they've errated to eliminate this issue. And that was essentially making it so before it was part of the cost was just have that certain leader, pay 1 blue, have that certain leader, and then you draw 1 and you can place it in energy. But if you use the effect before you already placed 1 in energy, the auto would trigger. I mean, you can't play any more energy, place any more cards in energy that turn. So you keep paying 1 blue to draw a card and not be able to play it, keep it in your hand. Now they've added it so you can't do that. Now part of the cost is to place this card from your hand in the energy, and if you can't do that, you can't get the draw. So they've fixed that. Then we got 2 more. The first one is Resolve Renewed. So they decided to hit Resolve Renewed because they say it's because it's become used in almost all red decks, because red doesn't really have many counterplays to help deal with floodgates, and this was a very nice one and a very easy to use one. And once again, just like Piccolo, in order to promote deck diversity, we decided to errata this card. So they decided to stop, take away red's only real way to help deal with floodgates away from all red decks. And the change essentially is they've changed it now. You need to have your leader being a Vegito card to have this line be able to use the counterplay. So they took this way to stop counter floodgates away from all red decks and left it with just Vegito, which is fine for Vegito players like myself. But for all red decks, they've just taken away now away the floodgates. Now you've got to find more creative ways, which is fair. It's how they wanted it to be more creative, but they took away a strong one to give it to Vegito, which makes sense. This probably should have been in the beginning because it was made pretty for the Vegito deck, but it was just a nice tool for all red decks that now they've lost. And then the last one being Brody Crown. So Brody Crown was one that everybody was complaining about, saying it was too strong with the unison. This guy was a buster thing, speculating that on the page it's going to be errata being free cost and more, when Bandai never really errata card in advance to then print out in advance. They never do that. They never do that, so it's never going to be the case. Even some of the investigation people are doing with the compare with some other ones that have the same kind of text for the cost. They're trying to do all the proper detective work to zoom in, check it out, and thought it was going to be free cost and more. But Bandai have just said it's too powerful to be played without paying its energy cost. So playing it for free from your hand is too powerful, so to errata it and to balance it. And the errata is essentially changing it so it's going to have a permanent where it can't be played by skills from any area. So no longer free playing it, you have to hardcast to get this effect, which is still fine. So they didn't ruin the card for red, they just made it a lot more fair, which is fair enough. That is very reasonable. And that is all the ban list. So not they missed some stuff with the ban list. They missed things like Turning the Tide, 6-drop Vegeta, Poutine, and stuff like that. But still, they did some good hits. Just they focus more on red because people Bandai normally do hit things on the list based on how much people moan in the groups. That does seem to be more of a case, and they hit some decent ones. But really, the only ones that didn't need to be hit on this were probably Raze being the main one, and I would say Vegeta as well. The rest of them do make sense for the changes done. But that is it for the ban list. So we'll go into the last bit of this video, being the webcam locals results. And here are the results. So we had 11 people turn up. One person did drop, being Turnstone Johnny, because he had to go off and do something. So he ended up going 1-1 drop with King Vegeta. That's the one that got errata with the fill card, not the OG version. And results for this week, we had quite a bit of diversity. So we had myself winning with Red Yellow Sin, going 4-0. And then we had 3 people go 3-1, being a new guy called, I think his name, I can't remember what his username was, Devesu Carlos, what he changed it to. He played Reboot Pan going 3-1. Tom in Ibertorum going 3-1 with Android 16, and Shimon going 3-1 with the Red Yellow Sin. So Red Yellow Sin's going quite strong. They are quite good. But I think the difference between mine and Simone's list was he's saying he hasn't got the checkland at the moment. He's trying to get it and wait for it to come through. And then we had a few freebie will go 2-2, being Present Eric, going 2-2 with Reboot Ramp Goku. Big O going 2-2 with Otherworld Goku. You probably see his stream or his upload of these tournament if you want to check that out. Then Remy going 2-2 with Reboot Ramp Goku as well. Then the last lot going 1-3, we have Symbiote with his King Cold going 1-3, Samurai Snacks with his Yellow Bardock going 1-3, and PG Time joining his first time playing in the Webcam locals going 1-3 with Green Stardeck Frieza. So that was the results. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed this series I do every Sunday for a news video, for news on the Bandai or Dragon Ball Super Kai game every week, so you can watch it in one go rather than go by day. And remember, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It helps you out greatly, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.